In late 2005, the future seemed uncertain for a troubled Fresno Unified School District. The district was on the brink of state takeover due to financial and academic instability. Old, outdated facilities could be spotted in every corner of the city. Low state test scores and graduation rates seemed to be the norm. But in that same year, a new superintendent entered the city, a city that was seeking change. This is our story, our journey, our community's pledge.
I am in education because it is a calling. It is a passion. I was born to teach. I believe that all students have a gift inside, and it is my job to help nurture it and to help them be successful.
When I first started in the school district, I had the privilege of working with a principal named Deborah L. Williams. She inspired me to be a mentor and change students' lives. She says, "Mark, always remember one thing. You're just not a custodian, but you're someone that's going to be a change in some young men's life down the road."
I've been teaching for 15 years, and the reason that I decided to go into teaching, I get a lot of reward when students come back and they're successful, either graduating through college or starting a successful career. And that just means that what I've done has purpose and has meaning.
When I came into Fresno High, the campus became more of a family to me than just a school. The teachers, the students, staff, they really helped me to keep me going and make it possible for me to believe that I could do it.
Soy madre de familia de 4 estudiantes del Distrito Unificado de Fresno, 3 ya graduados de la High School, Roosevelt High School. Una estudiante en la Edison Campus. Me siento muy orgullosa de decir que mis hijos han graduado porque mi trabajo como madre ha sido involucrarme en este programa. Es Universidad para Padres. Yo me siento muy competente de decir que puedo decir que mi hija va a graduar y no nomás graduar, sino ir a la universidad.
I've been in Fresno Unified for 32 years. In those 32 years, I've seen several superintendents come and go through the district. But with Mike, I saw a real difference. With Mike, we've got a core of beliefs that filter down to the schools, accountability, there was a board theory of action, and all of those programs were now implemented in our classrooms, and we were able to see a big difference. We've gone from program improvement status to distinguished school, and now an Abbott National Demonstration School.
I'm really excited about the construction through Measure Q. It's bringing the staff together, and it's also bringing excitement back to the community of Fresno High School and the families around Fresno High.
The objectives have been a lot clearer in terms of student success and also for teacher expectations. And as a result of that, it's a lot easier for us to identify the students in need and to move them forward so they're more successful. And I think that has happened overall in the district and here at Edison High School.
Que tengo la obligación y la necesidad de participar en mis escuelas de mi comunidad para apoyar a los demás padres a que sigan trabajando en equipo para seguir trabajando con nuestros hijos y seguir adelante, que la meta del Distrito Unificado de Fresno y nosotros como padres es que nuestros hijos gradúen y sigan adelante hacia la universidad.
My name is Sarah Setsui. I'm a recipient of the Fresno Unified School District Scholarship and graduate from 2011. Because so many people believed in me and pushed me to keep going, that I pledge to give 100% to my higher education and to always remember those people.
My name is Mark Pineda. I'm the plant supervisor here at Fresno High School. I pledge to do my job to the highest standard for Fresno High and Fresno Unified. I pledge to impact students to reach their full potential by helping them and guiding them, and I will always be a mentor for the students of Fresno Unified.
My name is Chris Finley. I teach math at Edison High School. I pledge to work hard to improve the lives of my students, both for Edison High School, Fresno Unified School District, and my local community.
Mi nombre es Lilia Becerril. Yo me comprometo como madre a seguir apoyando a mi hija a que gradúe de la high school y llegue a la universidad. Y como madre me comprometo a seguir apoyando a los demás padres a que sigan apoyando a sus hijos, que sigan apoyándolos, que participen en las escuelas, participen en su comunidad y sigamos adelante como comunidad y sigamos adelante como madres de familia.
My name is Janetta McGinsey, principal of Baird Middle School, and I pledge to continue to offer our students the best quality education possible. I pledge to hire and maintain quality teachers who care about students. I pledge to continue to support our parents as they support their students to be successful. I continue to implement the goals and missions of Fresno Unified School District.
Today, because so many people took the pledge to make a difference, Fresno Unified has had 7 years of significant academic increases. Yes, we have more work ahead, but the whole community is making a pledge to make a difference. The future is shaped by how and what we each choose to do. Fresno Unified is working together to redefine the value of education. Last year, nearly 2,100 students were accepted into college, and this year we are hopeful hundreds more will take the pledge to be college and career ready.
So good afternoon, everyone. I know you've all been thanked already countless times, but I want to take a moment to express my deep and sincere gratitude to your presence here today. Each and every one of you represents a partnership with Fresno Unified and our community. And whether you purchased a single ticket, you're a gold, silver, or bronze level sponsor, you supported our scholarship fund, and you are a lifeline, as you heard Ruthie say, not only for us, but for our students, and I thank you. As I begin today's comments, I want you to know this will be a little bit more about the personal side of the work that goes on in Fresno Unified. It's sometimes raw, it's always challenging. I want everyone in the room to clearly know how the fight and struggle that you are supporting, what this is all about in the clearest of terms. I want to bring special attention to two very important people in my life. These two people help keep me grounded. They keep me moving in the right direction. They help me stay focused on why I actually chose to do this very rewarding yet pretty tough and complicated work. One of them had me in diapers as one of her 4 kids. 4 boys, I should say. The other one I hope will still be around with me when I'm in diapers. I was going to say when I'm old and gray, but at this rate it'll just be old and bald. So my mother, Betty Hanson, and my wife, Dr. Julie Martel. So my mom's just fabulous support. She knows I'm going to have a difficulty getting through this without cracking, as you could already tell with my voice. And her silent support is to give me a Halloween napkin for one of my eyes. So, classy mom, appreciate it. So my wife, Julie, is a very busy woman, working with PTA, religious education, art docent, soccer coach, school psychologist, mother of 3, my partner. My mother has always supported education, worked for more than 25 years inside our state's prison system. She still serves as a volunteer right down the road with female inmates at the Central California Women's Facility, helping them to rehab and prepare ultimately for re-entry into our society. Very grateful for their presence and ongoing support. What we're here today to discuss, frankly, is a topic that's affected all of us in one way or another over the course of our lives: education. More specifically, you've all gathered here today to find out how Fresno Unified stands, how we rank, how we're moving with regards to preparing kids in our city for college and career. Many of those indicators, frankly, have been featured in previous videos. You've seen them in the press already. I'm not going to go through data point after data point after data point today, because many of those things were already called out in visual terms for you, and our staff is rightfully proud of the work they've done. We've made great strides in the last number of years in Fresno Unified, but this is a long, very long road that we have to travel together as a city. We're the largest employer in the Valley, and as such, we take that responsibility quite seriously. In addition to increasing student achievement, maintaining a balanced budget, providing great opportunities for our students, for months now, we've been driving our robust capital improvement project program forward. We have work underway currently, and please listen carefully, because this has never happened before in Fresno's history, and probably won't again. But we have major projects underway right now at Bullard High School, at Edison High School, at Fresno High School, at Hoover High School, at Roosevelt High School, and soon we'll be completing Rushwood Gaston Middle School, a school 34 years in the making. All of this dramatic facilities capital campaign work was made possible by Measure K, and more recently, with 76% of the vote in this community, Measure Q. And we thank our community tremendously for the opportunity to bring to our staff, to our kids, and to our city. Many of you here today are business owners. Some of you are educators, some service providers, others caregivers. But the commonality between all of us, including me, is that we are all community members of Fresno. Whatever your role, we all have a stake in literally tens of thousands of students' lives every day. They come to us every single day, hoping for the best. We all have a connection in that respect to one another. I usually like to think about those connections as a jigsaw puzzle, a map, or a web, until I found this Lego commercial. But I want you all to watch before we go any further, and I'll answer it now. I'm not getting royalties.
Can you guys tell me what this is?
Lego.
I think it's a piece of Lego.
It's Lego.
My entire childhood is based on this stuff.
I want the biggest
It has to be totally fair.
I want something that's already
Hers is pre-made.
People like to be creative and to do things with their hands.
Getting to build different things, different structures, different colors, and you have no boundaries.
Lego's one of those toys that you never grow out of.
You can build ships, helicopters, and build anything.
I love the little guy at the end that says you can build anything. And notice how every person, when given their Lego, was thinking about it with wonder in their eyes about what they would build. Whether they had multiple pieces, the two little girls had a bag tossed on the table, one guy only had one little piece. One voice said, "And you have no boundaries." We are all connected, and truly, we can build anything. Even when it seems as though we have limited resources, and we do, in the sense of financial resources, many would say that we are a bare bones. As a school district, as a county government, as a city government. Today, I'm not here focusing on what we don't have, but rather focusing on solutions, like the little guy you just saw. We can build anything together. Think of this place, our place, Fresno, as a place with no boundaries. So Fresno Unified is building, and not just phenomenal new facilities. We are in a constant state of construction and flux and movement, growth, and change. Every year students come to us, every year students graduate, and they move on to the next stage in their lives. In some very tragic instances, like those that were recently publicized, some students are taken from us through violence in our community. Equally as tragic, some students just decide to give up and walk out, drop out. Or maybe their family situations dictate that they have to end their formal education. Any way you cut it, we are constantly moving, and this movement affects every single person in this room, and this movement affects every person in our city. In Fresno Unified, our staff every day is fighting to create and maintain stability for our students every single day. Stability, I would argue, is good for our students. Stability is good for our schools, it is good for our neighborhoods, it is good for our city. Against the backdrop of increasing stability, even in the toughest of times that we're now in, we are charting as a community with Fresno Unified right in the middle some of our best work to date, with even fewer resources than we've ever had. I'm not standing here building an argument for less. I see some of the educators, God, what is he saying? But I want everyone in this city to understand when we have to, we are working differently, smarter, and better on behalf of this community. Increasing stability. It is in this environment of increasing stability where our mayor can develop an educational initiative called Learn to Earn to help some of the nearly 69,000 adults in our city who don't have a high school diploma get more education and move them toward work. It is in this environment of stability where Howard Hines can partner with us in our district about how we best use our limited resources of social workers in new and different ways for our elementary school kids. And new data shares with the county have new purpose to support families, schools, and neighborhoods. It is in this environment that Kendra Rogers and the First Five team are driving down a new path, producing better results from their new strategic plan, recognizing that we have less to work with in the future. It is in this environment where we forged a new partnership with Brian Angus and EOC, about 1,000 students, 1,000 students in Head Start, because they are part of our early learning pipeline in Fresno. It is in this environment where we get clear, we get real clear that the Housing Authority, our friends sitting over here to my left, serve nearly 20,000 Fresno Unified students. The stability we seek in partnership with the Housing Authority is good for the lives of those students, it is good for our schools, and it is good for our community and neighborhoods. It's in this environment of increasing stability where 4 districts all agree and actually follow through and do it to administer the same kindergarten readiness assessment. Sanger, Fresno, Central, and Clovis. So that citywide, we can get a marker on how our students come to us. 120,000 plus kids. How are they doing when they come to us in kindergarten so we have better ideas of what we should do as a community moving forward? That is part of the Fresno Compact work. I want to thank John Welty for pushing us in that direction a few years ago. It's in this environment of increasing stability where, along with the Fresno State team, our work has come together to strengthen the pathway of education for higher ed. From the date a student first comes to understand they're eligible for higher ed and CSUF to the day they arrive on campus, each step of that is tracked by our staff. We communicate across institutions to make sure that kid shows up for the promise of a good education in higher ed. It is in this environment that we establish a partnership between Fresno Unified and UC Merced that charts work around the equity and access initiatives we've been engaged in for the last few years that is setting a tone not only for Fresno, but for the state of California and folks across the country. It is in this environment where the children's movement of Fresno was born. You have things on your table. I encourage you to join the children's movement before you leave here today. To date, as you've seen, our academic movement is on the upward trend, and over the summer and in recent weeks, we received repeated good news. Our students are responding academically, and that's great. And I would just gently correct the mayor with, just so gently, the Kennedy Center was here last week for Fresno Unified as part of the city of Fresno. They adopted the city of Fresno as their tenant, not Fresno Unified. And it was because of our mayor and our county superintendent, their vision around what the arts means in students' lives, that we were competitive. So you saw those indicators in the earlier video about how we're improving, and we're proud of that. But I want you to think about, I'm just going to give you one data point, because this is how we think about all data. I'll use the graduation rate as an example. Currently, Fresno Unified's graduation rate is 72.7. That's up from 68.7, a 4-point gain. Over the same time period, the state went from 74 to 76, a 2-point gain. I want you to understand how we think about that information. Currently, we're improving. Fewer kids are deciding to drop out. But so I'm clear, we are below the state average, and that is not our target. So I'm clear, we are improving at twice the rate the state is, and that is not our target. So I'm clear, the state average is not our target. We shoot to catch districts like Garden Grove, who are the highest performing urban district in our state. Work is steady, and we're closing the gap, but we are not satisfied inside our district, and our community needs to know that. Change for an entity that is so constantly moving and evolving comes in measures. I would have loved nothing more than to have started this job, waved the magic wand, and had all problems solved. Skill level of our leaders automatically at peak performance. The resource buckets for our teachers overflowing, support for every student evident. We have every kid reading by 3rd grade, no child decides to drop out. Every single kid comes to school safe every day with no hiccups, no interruptions, no bumps in their academic road. But the reality is, that's not our reality. Because you have to account for the human element. The human element in Fresno Unified is at play every single day in every corner of our district. We exist as a school district because of the human element. 73,000 students, 10,000 adults. The human element. Take a look at this commercial. I think it really gets to the heart of how big a factor the human element is in the work we do together.
For each of us, there's a moment of discovery. We turn a page, we raise a hand, and just then, in the flash of a synapse, we learn that life is elemental. And this knowledge changes everything. We look around and see the grandness of the scheme. Sodium bonding with chlorine, carbon bonding with oxygen, hydrogen bonding with oxygen. We see all things connected. We see life unfold. And in the dazzling brilliance of this knowledge, we may overlook the element not listed on the chart. Its importance so obvious, its presence is simply understood. The missing element is the human element, and when we add it to the equation, the chemistry changes. Every reaction is different. Potassium looks to bond with potential. Metals behave with hardened resolve. And hydrogen and oxygen form desire. The human element is the element of change. It gives us our footing to stand fearlessly and face the future. It is a way of seeing. It gives us a way of touching issues, ambitions, lives. The human element. Nothing is more fundamental. Nothing more elemental.
The quote, when we add it to the equation, the chemistry changes. Every reaction is different. Daily, those 83,000 people show up, and every reaction is different. That final quote, it's a way of seeing. That gives us a way of touching issues, ambitions, lives. A powerful statement, frankly, that describes the work of an educator. You see, we aren't dealing with inanimate objects in Fresno Unified. Things aren't two-dimensional here at all. We are working with small human beings who are growing and ultimately will grow up to be adults, and our job is to help them, their parents, their guardians, whoever is in their charge, to help prepare them to deal with the rigors of life as an adult in our community. The human element reminds us that if, and sadly many times it's an if for us, a child shows up to school building on any given morning, Monday through Friday, August through June, that does not mean at all that that child came to us from a safe and stable home. The human element reminds us that every child may not have had anything to eat since the last time they ate at school the day before. It reminds us that he or she may not have had the little things that we sometimes take for granted. A toothbrush, shampoo, soap and water. You fill in the blank. We have students who come to us each day from homes where just the night before dad, or who knows, some random guy decided to beat mom for a bit. Maybe drugs are being sold from the home, making it impossible to get a good night's sleep before they come to school. Some of our students have to sleep on the floor because there is no bed for them. Or it's a precautionary measure in order to avoid stray bullets shot during the night. They don't get the free breakfast that they qualify for because nobody thought enough to wake them up to get them to school on time. The human element. They may not have backpacks and supplies. Their very confidence and self-esteem are so low that it's almost impossible to expect that they'll come bursting through the door wanting to deconstruct a paragraph or study the theory of relativity. In my 46 years, from the cities of Los Angeles to Boston, Syracuse, to Elk Grove, and now to Fresno, this has only happened to me once, and it was here. I asked a dad in Fresno what I thought was a simple and harmless opening question for someone I hadn't seen in a bit. How are you? And he responded, my son was murdered. This human element is the reality we live with, and we fight to change every day. We aren't dealing with perfect kids, because perfect kids don't exist. Julie and I have our three. Allie, Jake, Danny, they think they're perfect. As phenomenal as parents we think they are, they're not perfect. Our kids aren't perfect. We all need help to get where we're going. I want to be clear. The human element that I'm speaking of isn't code for poor. The human element isn't code for poor. It is a code for human. Each of us has an incredible untapped potential waiting to be stirred, but we also all have some burden or something we're carrying with us and have to deal with. It's life. But for many of our students, they're dealing with things and issues that no adult should have to face, and it makes a profound difference in the quality of their lives and the quality of education they can focus on. The deeper we go as a Fresno Unified team in this work together, the more profound we find the community trauma to be. It scares us. And it inspires us to push harder, to be more vocal, to expect more of ourselves and those around us, including all of you. You're an important, a vital, a critical piece of the future we are trying to build in Fresno. The human element gives us our footing to stand fearlessly and face the future. The human element holds tremendous pain, but also it is home to phenomenal forces for good. Over the summer, and even after school started, we had an outpouring of support from our valued community partners who wanted to help students get the year off to a good start. We were able to give away school supplies and backpacks to hundreds and hundreds of students across our city. And just a few weeks ago, we announced the rollout of, I don't know what's bigger than a front page, what's more worthy. There's got to be something more than a front page worthy story. This was certainly it. We announced the rollout of an amazing scholarship program at the Hippity Middle School, sponsored by Murray and Francine Barber, who are with us today. They did this in honor of their late son, Stephen. They pledged to give $1 million in a scholarship fund, $1 million in a scholarship fund to fund students at the Hippity Middle School, one of our most troubled, difficult, challenged schools in the heart of our city where this work is so difficult. They challenged those students to graduate from a Fresno Unified High School on time, and there would be resources and support waiting for them as they step into higher education or whatever they choose. Our students and their parents, frankly, along with our staff, were stunned with the excitement about the announcement, as we all should be. It's still hard to grasp. It is further proof for me that this is a community that cares. A place where community members don't even know students' names. They don't even know students' names. And they're willing to give $1 million because the children represent a future filled with promise. And for the gift that keeps on giving, I need to keep on thanking. So please, Barber family, if you'll please stand and be recognized. We just have to say thank you one more time. Phenomenal forces for good. That is as pure an example as I can find. In the summer of 1990, I returned to Blythe, California. Brackets, insert your chuckles here. I said Blythe, California. Okay. In summer of 1990, I returned to Blythe, California from Cambridge, Massachusetts. I had a master's degree, but I had no job. I spent those summer days working in a GED program in the Chuckawalla Valley State Prison with inmates, trying to get them that GED. I had 32 inmates. Some of you have heard this story, but it's all about the human element. Of those 32 inmates, ages 18 to 64, 2 were white. The balance were black and brown. There was a common thread to these strangers, as I found in a conversation with each man about how we would achieve goals that we needed to do together. The common strand, none of those men could read. I learned on the spot that if you can't read, life is predictably horrific. Think about the innocent frustration you saw on your own child's face as they were learning to read. Now magnify that by adulthood. And the embarrassment and the shame alone must be crippling. I saw firsthand, if you can't read, you will end up in the criminal justice system. Because in that world, they welcome all comers. If you can't read, never mind. If you can't write, you're still a candidate. We have a place for you, and that's where so many students who don't get to that magic place of reading and writing end up. They're swept up into a cycle of doing time, being released, violating, cycling back, and the cycle continues over and over with reoffending. Their trajectory could have been altered, or their life's course could have been changed through an education fostered by the good found in the human element. This is exactly what our staff faces every single day. 4 years now, my great friend, Long Beach Superintendent Chris Steinhauser, has said, education is the greatest civil right of our generation. Take a look at this video.
Dismissed from drama school with a note that read, "Wasting her time. She's too shy to put her best foot forward." Turned down by the Decca Recording Company, who said, "We don't like their sound and guitar music is on the way out." A failed soldier, farmer, and real estate agent. At 38 years old, he went to work for his father as a handyman. Cut from the high school basketball team, he went home, locked himself in his room, and cried. A teacher told him he was too stupid to learn anything, and he should go into a field where he might succeed by virtue of his pleasant personality. Fired from a newspaper because he lacked imagination and had no original ideas. His fiancée died, he failed in business twice, he had a nervous breakdown, and he was defeated in 8 elections. If you've never failed, you've never lived.
It just dawned on me that perhaps had I put that video as first part of my speech, it would have been a good challenge for myself to make it through without choking up. Kind of a small challenge. Mental note for next speech. But I think that's pretty powerful. I'm sure some of you here today were told you couldn't do something in the past, maybe as recently as last week, right? The human element. Folks, every day of our lives, we are writing a new chapter about the individual stories, and our students have to know that they have that same opportunity with support from us. Our graduation task force, which some of you are were a part and are a part, found that many of our youth, an enduring theme they found in interviews, many of our youth say they do not feel supported or encouraged, not only by the staff at our school, but by any adult in their life. It matters. In August, I took a trip to Finland, a place I'd never been before, with the national group of education folks, to take a closer look at what that country was doing to yield such phenomenal international achievement results. I truly expected to see something in classrooms that would be unique, something that would be a driver for improvement, something that we frankly, as we do in education, we could steal it, we could modify it, we could implement it, we could have it grow in Fresno Unified, share it with our partner districts, but no such luck. To be frank, for the most part, their classrooms looked a great deal like ours. Stunning, though, was the alignment in their society. Stunning was the alignment in their society. By day 3 of the week-long trip, I finally got it. We struggled as Americans to just try to figure out just what the heck they were doing. By day 3, we started to get it as a group. I fully got it. It was their human element. It was their connectedness. Honest to God's truth, from students to teachers, from principals to shopkeepers, from cab drivers to mayors, from waiters to musicians, from the Ministry of Education to Parliament. As people, as a group, as a society, they existed with children as the flat-out bullseye center, the flat-out bullseye center of all of their investments and all of their strategy. A big red dot that said, here is our work. We pass on to those who come behind us. As an example, in Finland, students don't start school until they're 7. Formal schooling doesn't start until they're 7. Our youngest, Danielle, 7 years old. She's at Faulkner in the 2nd grade. 98% of students in Finland have high-quality preschool programs starting almost at birth. Now, before you start thinking, I do not stand up here as your superintendent intending to be Finnish in Fresno, right? But I also am going to shout out great opportunities to move our students and therefore our city forward. I want to give you just 2 perfect and incredibly timely examples. There are a whole bunch more, but these are 2 big ones that are happening right now, and they are opportunities on our Fresno Unified doorstep and the Fresno City's doorstep because of work done in recent years. Between the EOC, who I mentioned earlier has 1,000 students in Head Start, and the other 1,500 we have in our classrooms, we have 42% of our students in preschool. Our board has uniquely positioned us to nearly double that if Proposition 30 passes. So for a moment, let's check politics at the door. I want to be really clear. I'm not advocating, I'm just stating some facts. Our board has taken action to adopt a budget that if Proposition 30 passes, will double preschool enrollment in our city. And I know of no other district who has taken such aggressive steps, positioning for our students and in introducing the human element for thousands of young lives. So I thank our board deeply for this. We talk about equity and access frequently in Fresno Unified. That is the access half of that equation, where a board stands tall and says, we're positioned and this is what we want to do to build the future of this city. Now I'll move to the equity front. The second example is we need to give all of our students reading and writing by grade 3, especially in light of the rigorous standards that we are moving to implement, the Common Core State Standards. Fresno Unified will be submitting an application to the United States Department of Ed on another version of the Race to the Top district grant competition, and if awarded this grant, the grant could bring as much as $40 million, $40 million into the Fresno community to support early childhood education in grades pre-K through 3 in Fresno Unified. The application, which reflects the recommendations of the district's early learning task force from 2 springs ago, as well as the graduation task force recommendations last spring, will impact over 26,000 students in grades pre-K through 3. The programming components will include updates to an instructional model around early literacy, teacher, paraprofessional, principal training. It'll expand classroom digital technology, and this grant would give our teachers for the first time in Fresno here the opportunity and the tools to have information at their fingertips to truly personalize education for our youngest kids moving forward, every student. So we are on the brink, as I stand here talking to you today, of dramatically expanding preschool and dramatically shifting how we do pre-K through 3 to guarantee better results for the community of Fresno. And hopefully, Fresno Teachers Association will sign off on this after we've spent 65 hours with them at the table on this grant development. I need to be real clear here. 95% of what's in the grant is not bargainable. We did it in a collaborative spirit. These are out of this world opportunities. Imagine what the city looks like 5 to 10 years from now if both of those come in. It's because of the work that our staff has done that we're positioned to have us there, to maybe reach for that brass ring this time around. And I hope we land both of them. But it's also important to realize we are in Fresno Unified positioned to capitalize on this because, as my dad used to tell me, chance favors the prepared mind. Our board has us prepared to make these reaches. I need to take a moment here also to reference the earlier video of parents, staff, talking about their pledges. I told Janetta that I had to watch the first video, or one of those videos. I had to watch 5 times before I didn't cry. And Mayor, you weren't particularly helpful either with some of your comments at this table before I came up. I wanted to thank you, but yeah, I meant it, right, that I could barely get through this. The challenges, think about those pledges that people were making. The challenges that our board, and these 4 people right here sitting in front of you, that they have charged our team to fix, has long been chronicled. They've been fantastic for me to work for because it is their policies, which Janetta referenced, that is actually having an impact on our system. I want to thank them completely for tireless work on behalf of our students, and also receiving not nearly enough credit for the fantastic stability we enjoy in Fresno Unified are 2 other women in my life who dominate a substantial amount of the time that I'm away from Julie, Allie, Jake, and Danny. The first of those 2 is Ruthie Quinto, our Deputy Superintendent and CFO, who's been an extraordinary partner, who is as creative and as committed to the city of Fresno as anyone I know. It is her recommendations to me, year after year, that has us sitting here with these opportunities on our doorstep. I just described them. Today we're in a different financial place than most urbans, not just in California, but across the country, because of her and her dedicated staff's work. And the second person I need to reference is Kim Meekum, our Associate Superintendent for Human Resources and Labor Relations. Kim joins Ruthie tirelessly and fearlessly. Think about this. Your Deputy CFO and your HR, not where this traditionally is driven from, but it is in Fresno Unified. They join tirelessly and fearlessly protecting the rights of students to receive the highest quality education possible. We have in our district over a $500 million payroll for salary and benefits, and all of that rolls through Kim's strategic office. Kim, like Ruthie, has become clearly the best at what they do in the state of California, period. And I would also say they are on the list of top 5 in the country for the work that they do. As a superintendent, to be able to rely upon a Deputy CFO and Human Resources team led by Kim going into our 8th year is extremely rare. I'm not sure I can find it anywhere else in America. And I'd like our community at this point to recognize not only what our board does, but what Kim and Ruthie have been doing. And for those of you wondering if this election is also a referendum on my position, I'll share with you that it's not my focus. I am indeed, and recognize every day that I'm employed by the Board of Education. These are great folks. Not because they support me, to be really clear, but because we believe the same work is necessary to build this city. Let me be clear again. I'm employed by the board, but I work for the students in the city of Fresno. Let me also be clear that the same drive I felt to help those men in prison 22 years ago is the same drive I have every day when I get up trying to figure out what we're going to do next to help our students and their families so we don't end up with young kids turning into those people in prison downstream. We're making progress, but so long as even one child feels comfortable or thinks it's all right or acceptable to step away from their education, I have an unease in my spirit. I say to you again, We are all connected. There's no getting around it. The human element is what binds us together. As a step today, with that human element, you have cards on your table for the children's movement, sign. There's also info cards. If you didn't get a membership card, you have to be a part. This is what's going to drive us forward. It's going to give us that bullseye in our city as we continue to bring big public organizations together on behalf of kids. So I want to say thank you, everybody, for being here today, for your willingness to show up and stand for kids and support our students. Thank you for your concern about the future of our school district, but also our city. We could not be successful without your support. And remember that the human element gives us the footing to stand fearlessly and face the future. I am proud to be your superintendent and work with all of you. Thank you so much for being here today.